Friends, it is Wendy Pope. It is January 26th on Read Through the Word, and we are on in Job chapter 27 today. And maybe you're like me, and you've been looking ahead, and you've been wondering, okay, how much longer do we have of this book? We have a few more days. We'll end it on January 31st. So we have a few more days. Hang in there. I understand that you're probably like me and you are mining for that one nugget of truth in our lessons. And maybe you're like me and you're just ready to slap Eliphaz and Bildad and Zophar. Just hit them upside the head. Maybe you want to slap Job. I don't know. But I did do some digging. And looking at this verse today from Job 27, this is verse 2. I vow by the living God who has taken away my rights, by the Almighty who has embittered my soul. And as I was looking and probing and digging, I went to BibleGateway.com, as I do often, and pull up this verse in multiple translations. If you haven't done that yet, that is a very basic way of helping the Bible come alive, is looking at different translations. And I went back to the King James 21. That's not 2021. That's the 21st century. King James. As God liveth, who hath taken away my judgment, and the Almighty who hath vexed my soul. Kind of sounds Shakespearean, doesn't it? And then I went to a more current translation. As God lives, says the Amplified, who has taken away my right, denied me justice, and the Almighty who has vexed and embittered my life. And I thought, you know what? We need to take a long look at those two words. And I put the definition there: irritate, annoy, provoke, torment, trouble, distress, plague, worry, confuse, bewilder, confound. And then embitter was to make someone feel angry and unhappy for a long time. I have a feeling that within a group our size, there may be 1, 2, 3 people that have been vexed by God, angered by God. Their soul has been embittered by God for what? Unhappy for a long time. And I know people like that. And it saddens my heart. There have been seasons where I've been vexed by God and I have been embittered. My soul has been embittered, yes. Oh, but that is not how we are to live. That is not God's desire for us to live within long periods with a vexed and embittered soul. We are to, as Job will do, finally take up his feelings of injustice to God. He will get there, and he'll talk it all out with God. He has talked it out with his friends, and he'll talk it all out with God, which we should do. As you know, Charles Spurgeon is one of my favorites, and I saw a quote of his. I included it in today's lesson. But before I get to that, also note that there is actually an entire sermon, 1863 sermon by Charles Spurgeon called A Vexed Soul. So enjoy that. Those of you who enjoy Shakespearean, poetic kind of language that flow here, flow there, and then you realize, I do not understand what I just read. I need to go read it again. But Spurgeon does make some great points in this sermon. He challenges those listening to or now reading this sermon of a healthy inquiry for everyone whose soul has been vexed by God. So I thought, you know what? Let's just look at these questions and let's pose them to ourselves. Is God not just in vexing my soul? At first you may think, well, gosh, that's not fair. How could God be just in vexing and embittering my soul? That's not fair. But he goes on to say, some of you have long vexed him and have grieved his Holy Spirit for years. Oh. So could the vexing and the embittered soul that you are experiencing, maybe living in unhappily for such a long period of time, be a result of your own or my own vexing of God's Spirit? It's a side effect. It's a symptom of. He also says, what can be God's design in vexing your soul? Well, what would be the purpose? Well, he goes on to say, rest assured that he takes no delight in your miseries. You forgot him when everything was merry. It may be, too, that he is sending this trial to let you know that he thinks of you. Isn't that an interesting phrase, that he thinks of you? Because isn't that the whole essence of the conversation between Job and God? Have you considered my servant Job? He says. He was thinking of Job. And he's thinking of you. I put Bible verses after that. I want you to look at those a little bit later on. I'm not going to take the time in our lesson to read it. Lastly, he says, may it be that he may wean you entirely from the world. Perhaps he's trying to wean us from our addiction to the things of this world. What is my response? This is what Charles Spurgeon leaves us with. As the Almighty hath vexed my soul, what had I better do? Do? Go home and shut the door and have an hour alone with yourself and God. That hour alone with God may be the crisis of your whole life. Do try it. And when I'm alone with God, what had I better do? Well, first, tell him all your grief. Tell him all your sin, hiding nothing from him. Lay it all out, naked and bare before him. Then ask him to blot it all out once and for all for Jesus Christ's sake. Own it. Pour it out at the throne. Own it. Confess the sin and ask him for Jesus' sake. God, wash it all away. And watch your vexed and bittered soul. Wendy, I'm talking to myself. Be washed away as well. See you next time on Read Through the Word.